First story. A while back we switched internet providers and our new modem came with an app to manage the network and connections. It was unreal how many devices we had connected to the Wi-Fi. I was playing in the app one night and noticed an Android device phone. We both have Apple devices. At first I thought someone had guessed our Wi-Fi password, so I changed our passwords, but it came back a few days later. I was working from home one day and noticed the Android phone disappeared when my wife Cindy went to work, and when she got home that evening, the Android device returned. I finally got a chance to look through her car, and later her purse, but came up empty. That night, while she was in the shower, I went through her gym bag and finally found it tucked away in her briefcase. I didn't have time to try and look through it, so I put it back. The next time she went to the gym, I went to look through it, but it was gone. The next night I found it again in the briefcase. This time I took it and tried to unlock it, but none of her alt passwords would work. I decided to take the phone to a repair place down the street to see if they could unlock it. I had to confess to the tech the real reason for wanting to get into the phone, as I am a lame liar. And he felt sorry for me, I guess, and an hour later called me and said he was finished. He backed everything up to a thumb drive that I read when I got back home. I saw all the pictures and texts between her and two different guys over the last 9 months, including graphic discussions about their hookups. 6 years of marriage up in smoke. Thought I was having a heart attack, couldn't breathe, and just sat there at the computer staring at it all. I got better after an hour and guessed it was just a panic attack. When Cindy got home, she was very anxious. She wandered around the house, obviously looking for her phone. I asked if she was okay, and she said she lost some papers from work and needed to find them. I offered to help, but she said she would find them. I got her back in the kitchen and pulled the burner phone out and asked if this was what she was looking for. There was that deer in the headlight look on her face and panic starting to rise. I said there could be only one reason why you would have a second phone in your briefcase, and I asked if she was cheating on me, which she denied. I said fine, then give me the password so I can see for myself what is on it. She tried to turn it around on me and that I was invading her privacy. I handed her back the phone and said her response just proved my suspicions. I sat down on the sofa and felt a hot flash again and started to cry a little. When she saw the tears, she softened and said it was only once, and she felt guilty about it and cut things off. I opened up the file on my tablet and handed it to her and asked, only once? She kept saying she was sorry, that it wasn't my fault, and that she wanted to stay together. I said I needed some space to think and we needed to separate while I decided how to move forward. She disagreed and said we needed to talk it out. So I started asking questions. Married? Co-workers? How did they meet? Where did they hook up? What kind of sex did they have? What did she do with them that she hasn't done with me? Were they bigger than me? Did she use protection? She finally said enough. She couldn't do this anymore. She asked how long I had known. I said I found the phone a week ago, but didn't see what was on it till today. I said I was still in shock and needed time to process it all. She agreed to spend the rest of the week at her sister's house, and we could talk more this weekend. She wants to schedule a session with a marriage counselor next week, and I agreed to that. I didn't tell her I would be consulting an attorney tomorrow to get an idea of my options. Last Christmas her sister got a divorce after finding out her husband was having an affair. There were several family discussions about cheating at her parents' house and how low her ex-bill was for betraying his wife. I can't imagine what was going through her mind sitting there being just as guilty. The thought of leaving her kills me, but I don't think I could forgive her or ever trust her again. We had been talking about kids, but I am so glad we were still waiting. Update. First, my to-do list. 1. Attorney. Showed my text collection to my attorney, and he is proceeding with the filings. He gave me a worksheet on things I need to do in the meantime. 2. Doctor. All tests came back negative. 3. First AP's wife. I met with her this afternoon and gave her hard copies and a thumb drive. I showed her the pictures they had traded. She is not going to confront him with it until he is served. 4. Cindy's sister, not the one she is staying with but the one who just divorced her cheating husband. I met with her tonight and showed her my greatest hits, the more damning texts, and let her see what her sister had sent her APs. She was angry and at the same time a little sad. She apologized to me and said she had no idea what her sister had been up to. If she had, she would have told me. I am sure I will hear about her sister when Cindy comes to the house tomorrow to get some of her things. She wants to sit down and talk, probably about how we are going to move forward. This may be my last entry here on this thread. I may post a separate update later if needed. Update. You've been served. I guess the third time is the charm. It took the process server 3 attempts to serve her today, but at 2:15 p.m. Cindy was finally served at her office. I was surprised it took her an hour to finally call me. She was upset and I told her it was a simple power exchange. She had all the power before and now I have taken it back. I told her that before we could talk about reconciliation I had to be in a safe space, and that meant terminating our old relationship before dealing with anything else. I asked her when she started to cheat, what she thought would happen if she got caught, and isn't that the reason she got a second phone? She still wants to work things out and I agreed to go to counseling with her, if for no other reason than to get answers to questions I have. At least our insurance is paying for most of the cost of therapy. I have little desire to reconcile, but I'm just playing along till the divorce gets taken care of. Update. I found a burner phone in my wife's briefcase. I got a phone tech to hack into it and found over the last 9 months she had 2 affairs. When I confronted her with the phone, she denied having an affair and then said it was only once until I showed her copies of her texts and photos they had exchanged. I told her I needed some space to process this, and she has been at her sister's house all week. She wants to reconcile and go to couples therapy to help us get past this. Since she has been gone, I have decided to file for divorce and have a lawyer working on it. Her first AP was married and I have reached out to her and shared their texts. She is currently starting divorce proceedings as well. One of her sisters recently got divorced due to her husband's infidelity. I shared everything with her as well. My wife, Cindy, came over to the house last night to get some things and to sit down and talk. She said she was sorry for hurting me and she is still very much in love with me and wants to stay together. Her affairs were never about the quality or quantity of our sex life, and she asked if I felt like my needs were ever neglected. Our sex life was pretty spicy. We averaged 4 or 5 times a week and she initiated 50% of the time. She just enjoyed experiencing sex with other people and being showered with attention. She is willing to go to therapy to find out why she desires this and to help her be a better partner for me. She said she would understand if I wanted a pass to explore or get even by dating another woman. And if that was something I liked, we could look into having an open marriage so we could both explore that together. I told her that was not something I would ever be interested in. She said she missed me and wondered if there was a chance I was ready for her to come home, even if it meant sleeping in the spare bedroom for now. I said it still felt like too soon and it might be better if we gave it some more time. I didn't tell her that I had filed for divorce. She should get served sometime this next week according to my lawyer. We had a session scheduled for Wednesday for couples counseling that I have to cancel. Besides the betrayal, our views on our relationship are miles apart to even consider reconciling. Cindy was a little upset when her sister ambushed her over her affairs, but she figured it was coming. I guess her whole family knows at this point, and her parents are upset with her as well. This morning a few of our mutual friends stopped by to check on me and ended up trying to encourage me to give Cindy another chance and work things out. I asked how much they knew and brought them up to speed, showing them the phone and all its contents. Needless to say, they were previously misinformed and now embarrassed. Update. Confronting the AP. I had a bit of fun today after work. I stopped off at a downtown restaurant and had a drink in the bar. It was before the dinner rush and pretty slow, so I was able to have a long chat with the bartender. I told him I had recently found that my wife had been cheating with 2 different men for the last year. I told him the first AP was married and that I had met with his wife and given her copies of all the evidence I had collected. She had suspected he had been unfaithful but never found any proof. She was going to use what I had given her to take him to the cleaners. But she wasn't going to confront him until the day he got served. The bartender asked about the second guy. I said he was single and I hadn't decided what to do about him yet. But I said I was big believer in karma and I wasn't afraid to help karma out if the need arises. He laughed and said that was a good one. I finished my drink and gave him my credit card to tab out. He froze for a second when he saw my name. He gave me my receipt and I said give my regards to Cindy, my wife, and said, be seeing ya, Kevin. 2.5 weeks ago, I confronted my wife with a burner phone I found in her briefcase. I found a tech who could hack the phone and provide me with her messages and pictures on the phone. It told the story of the last 9 months when she had cheated on me with 2 different men. She has spent the last 2.5 weeks at her sister's house while I decide how to move forward. She has continued to push hard on reconciliation. The notable events so far. I shared emails and pictures with the wife of AP number 1. She surprised him with divorce papers last week. I confronted AP number 2 at the restaurant where he works. I said I knew everything and said I would be seeing him, my favorite John Wick line. 2 days later AP number 2 got fired from his job. Just karma. I had nothing to do with it, swear. Told STBXW's sister who got cheated on recently about her sister's shenanigans. Divorce papers were served to my STBXW, credit cards cancelled, and bank accounts separated. At my request, she did not attend a birthday party for one of my friends this weekend. She was also uninvited to an annual barbecue with our friend group on Memorial Day. Yesterday we had a couples counseling session. It started with me getting ripped for costing her APs their marriage and job respectively. I said while I had nothing to do with Kevin losing his job, I had no sympathy for either one of them due to what they did to contribute to wrecking our marriage. When I asked how she knew all this and if she had been in contact with them since we split up, she deflected and said they reached out to her. I asked to see her phone to confirm that and she refused, so I said I guess we are done then, and stood up to leave. Our therapist tried to smooth things over and get us talking. I asked why she cheated on me and how she met her APs. She had a very well-rehearsed answer I didn't believe and won't dignify by repeating it here. But she was being very contrite, complete with tears about wanting to reconcile and save our marriage. Of course, she wants to move back, and while we work on settling our differences and fixing our relationship, our therapist did an excellent job of being fair and not trying to take sides. She asked me what I needed to be able to move forward, and I gave her a list of the 5 things I needed. 1. Full account of the affair, where they met, and how often. All the details with nothing held back. 2. A list of friends and relatives who knew of the affair when it was happening. 3. Full access to her phone tonight before we leave. 4. A full apology and confession of the affair on her social media accounts, including the names of her APs. 5. Once the divorce is finalized, I would go to therapy with her again to see if we have a relationship left to salvage. After much back and forth, she agreed to everything except number 3 and number 5. I conceded number 3 but said she needed to retain a lawyer and respond to the divorce papers ASAP. I told her she killed the marriage when she decided to cheat and that had to be resolved before we could move forward. This afternoon she posted her apology confession to her social media accounts complete with APs tagged. I haven't heard from her since our session, so I don't know about the other items. I also got word that her attorney had reached out to mine to arrange a meeting for next week. Second story. My 38 wife, 38 of almost 12 years, who I have 4 young children with, recently disclosed she was having an affair with a co-worker. This was a couple days ago now. Apparently, she had worked with this person, mid-50s, for a couple years and he was always flirtatious. But she says it was just innocent flirtation she ignored. I remember about a year ago saying that there was this guy that was so like me but what I old. And she told him 20 years ago I bet we would have been friends then. He told her if he had known her 20 years they'd be way more than friends. She was his supervisor at the time, so she told me that night, like, can you believe this? And I said, did you write him up, etc., etc. She said no, I didn't know how to react, etc., etc. Fast forward to a couple days ago. She goes off walking down the street on the phone with her boss. I'm like, where are you going? Then she says, oh, it's my boss. I'm thinking on the phone, so you're taking off on foot going far away for privacy? What could it be? She comes in right after that and tells me, I did something terrible at work. I'm thinking, oh man, she messed up or broke something or something. I'm thinking it was I got fired. But no, the next thing she says is I kissed a coworker. After hearing this, my heart moved around in my body. I kept saying, no you didn't, and she was looking at me and said, yeah I did. I'm so sorry, it was a mistake. She told me who it was, the old guy who was her employee. I was in total denial mode at this point. Then I said, you kissed somebody or had a relationship. She pauses. I say, what else happened? She then says they groped each other as well that one time while kissing. I say, and what else? She pauses. And we texted while I was at work. Texted what? Like, I miss you, I'm excited to see you, hi, type things I don't really remember. I say, how long has this been going on? She says the physical was only the same week and the flirting texting was about 2 months. She doesn't know. She tried to delete everything and was very sneaky. So the days goes on, blah blah blah. Why did this happen? I don't know. He reminds me of you, so it was like being with you at work and at home. I didn't know how to say no and I knew it was wrong, but I liked the feeling, so I just couldn't stop. I think it's because of my adhit. Why didn't you tell me? I don't know, I wanted to. So I tell me no. He texted me saying it's over, I'm busted. So I knew you were going to find out and I wanted it to come from me. So you wouldn't have told me then? I was hoping it would just stop and be done and I wouldn't get caught. So I thought you love me? I do. But you love him? She pauses. I say, so yes. She pauses. I have strong feelings for him. Then I say, feelings like you have for me. She says different. So I say, did you at any point say I love you? She pauses, yes. How many times? A couple. Via text and while we were fooling around. Okay, so fast forward to that evening. I tell her I'm still feeling like she is leaving something out, and then she adds that she had sent him nude pictures she took in our house. And he was showing her pictures and videos of himself with his spouse. Yeah, he's married with 4 kids. She swears on our children that is everything, hand to God. I still love her, and after talking to our family circle we decide to try and reconcile. I found the number to the other person and texted him we needed to chat. I just wanted to see what he had to say. I never thought he'd respond, but he did with sure the next day. We talk on the phone while I walk outside, and he lies, but then eventually comes clean with all that was going on and is sorry, I guess. I come home, look at my wife and tell her I talked to him. She gives me a terror look. What did you talk about? I then say, is there anything else you didn't tell me? Last chance. She then says she sent him videos as well. I say, of what? Then she describes what I can only really describe as really graphic sexual acts of herself, which I later found texts that she was taking requests from him, and like a lot of videos, at least 8 that I know of. She then says that is everything. I push and she says that's everything. I then say, you realize I got another story from somebody who did not have your back? She says, I know he doesn't. Then I ask again. We have been married for 12 years, we are happy, no intimacy issues, great jobs. She ended up having to resign from hers after this. Beautiful, happy kids. You owe me the truth, which I feel like you still haven't given me. She then pauses and says he groped me again the day before we fooled around as well. So 2 times, that's it? And he grabbed my rear end once. Fast forward to later in the day and she admits to texting him at home as well. For some reason these revelations floored me, the repeated lying and lying more. She is now in a hotel and suddenly very interested in doing stuff with our kids. I keep circling around all these emotions. What don't I know? I love her, I want her, I don't want her to go. How can I forget this, let alone forgive it? The things she was doing, and the way he was talking to her was disgusting according to one day of texts I found from weeks ago. Like how much worse was it 1 week ago? I have no idea. I don't want to be alone. She's been begging to stay, saying now she knows it was just infatuation, and the biggest mistake of her life and she is broken mentally. She said she has control issues, dopamine addiction and didn't know you could have feelings like that for more than one person, etc. I say I know it sucks to get caught, but if you didn't you'd be happy as a clam loving him and smiling in mine and her kids' faces at the same time right now. During the last month she literally showed no signs of anything, no withdrawal, no lack of intimacy, no nothing. In a nutshell, she has repeatedly offered any concession to be given a second chance, full access to anything, no phone, no job, anything. She says I deserve better and she knows that she is a terrible person, but she wants a second chance to try and gain trust back. She says she knows she is an awful human and understands better now she's capable of that and needs to shut that kind of thing down. She also said she will get therapy and try to become more capable of saying no. What do I do? Third story. My husband, who I have been with for 12 years, cheated on me with a co-worker. We only got married last fall. We've been together since we were quite young. We have never wanted children, but we share a dog and a mortgage. He in particular has been of the opinion that he never wants children. We have discussed this often and we have agreed on it. Our families are also friends with each other and they are often in contact with each other. We have been mostly happy. Of course, all long relationships have some problems and fights. One problem we had was that he is an avoidant. He always avoided any fights and was sort of scared for commitment. That is why it also took so long for us to get married. However, we haven't had any major problems, such as violence or substance abuse problems, and our day-to-day life was easy and peaceful. We had, or I thought so, same values, similar goals in life, and very strong emotional bond. We love traveling and we had traveled to over 20 countries together. We were a great team. My husband met another, married woman at a workplace party right after we got married. He first introduced this woman to me as a friend. The other woman was also married and has 2 very young children. I never thought much about it. During the fall, my husband became sort of uptight. He often worked overtime. We both do demanding work, so I didn't think much of this either. In early spring, my husband started telling me that our relationship is bad. He started blaming me for everything. It felt like he was looking for every possible fault in me and our relationship. I was completely taken aback by all his talk. We had just got married and I thought we were happy. Shortly after this, he wanted to move to a different apartment to think about our relationship. I did not understand what was going on. I even booked a therapy session for us to try and get some sort of sense to all of this. We went there and now I can say that all he did there was lie. Even in therapy he kept blaming me for not understanding him well enough, not being able to listen to him in the right way, not allowing him to express his feelings. He even said that he does not love me anymore, and that it is my fault that I had caused him to become bitter and angry. He never said anything like this before, even though we oftentimes sat and talked about our relationship, for example things we wanted to work on, etc. After few weeks of living in separate apartments, I got so anxious and told him that I need an explanation. So, in the same sentence he left me and told me he has another woman. He left me alone in our house and went to his apartment. I was shocked. We filed the divorce papers the very next day at the husband's request. My husband also wanted to put our house up for sale right away, and it was sold after only 2 days. He continued to lie to me and said he was not going to have a relationship with this woman and that he wanted to be single. However, after 2 weeks it turned out that he is in a relationship with this woman. He told me straight up that he has told this woman everything about me and our relationship. Since autumn, they have been telling others about their own relationships. He even told this woman about our sex life and my personal stuff. This woman has children, and I have been completely shocked by this as well. My husband says that AP does not mind that he doesn't like children or that he doesn't want to be their stepfather. The woman is also almost 10 years older than my husband and me. She is also married and still lives with her husband, but she has also started the divorce process to be with my soon ex-husband. He told me that he only met this woman about 4 or 5 times since last October, but that they had amazing connection like we never had. At no point have I begged my husband back. I've been acting like a robot. It's been about a month since all of this and I still don't understand what happened. It all happened so fast and I'm shocked. Fortunately, we had a prenuptial agreement and I have a good financial situation. I haven't had any contact with my soon-to-be ex-husband in a week now. When will this get easier? How can I accept that I was completely wiped out of life like some garbage? Should I tell my ex-mother-in-law about this situation? I was close with her, and I think my ex has lied about the situation to her. I have not been in any contact with his family since the breakup.